Hello everyone, my name is Yamato and today I am playing World of Warships. And today, June 23rd, is a special day in the sense that today we have another coupon in the armory, so we can get a ship for coal or for steel at a discounted rate, 25% discount. And for me that is just enough to get a new steel ship. I've got 24,000 steel, meaning I can get any steel ship I want. And well, currently we're looking at the Yamato, and the steel ship that I am gonna be purchasing is actually a ship fairly similar to the Yamato. It is not actually a sister ship to the Yamato. But if we look here in the armory, we can see here I've got a new coupon for resources, ships, and the ship that I am going to get is the Shikishima, which has 510mm guns. So I will be buying it. As we can see here, I've got just enough when I use the coupon, and I will show you what this ship does and how it behaves in battle. Of course I don't know because I'm just going to buy it just now. What it behaves like, what the characteristic specialties are, I'm going to show you all that in today's video. Let's buy it. 24,000 steel out the window. And when we go to our board, we can see we have the tier 10 Shikishima, which of course looks fairly similar to the Yamato, and that makes sense since it is based off the Yamato. Now I'll be back shortly with the characteristics and specifications of this ship. So when we look at the specifications of the Shikishima, there's one thing that is very clear straight off the bat. And those of you who know the game a bit might even be able to tell so just from looking at the ship. It's essentially a Yamato. The entire superstructure here is virtually the same, the entire hull. The only real difference is the turrets that we have here, the main battery. If we take a look at the main battery here, a Yamato has 3 turrets. I've got the Yamato here. 3 turrets with 3 barrels of a 460mm gun caliber, whereas the Shikishima has a 510mm caliber and in 3 turrets of 2 guns. And I think the barrels actually look a bit sleeker. It's probably because it's only 2 of them. But the caliber is a lot higher, and this also means that the shell does a lot more damage. Now in return, of course, you only have 6 shells in a broadside salvo, so if you fire all guns, instead of the 9 that the Yamato has. And the shells are a bit slower. But the devastating power of these shells is really fully unmatched. I think the penetration on the armor piercing shells is even higher than that on the Kremlin. There is of course a downside to this, which would be that you need to be very careful to not overpen everything that you shoot at. But if you do manage to score citadel hits, that means that with armor piercing shells you will be dealing 19,400 damage. That is essentially a torpedo hit from something like a Shimakaze, except delivered through the air. So that's pretty darn juicy. Otherwise, this ship is virtually identical to a Yamato, so it is not exactly stealthy, but you can get its concealment down to 14 kilometers if you completely build for it. It's not the fastest either, but speed is not the main concern for Japanese battleships. It's got a pretty good turning circle, fairly slow rudder shift, so you do want to plan your engagements. A massive main battery firing range of 26.5 kilometers. And unlike the Yamato, the Yoshino actually has insanely good anti-air, as well as some pretty decent secondaries with some actual range to them. Now you could potentially build the Shikishima for secondary range. You will end up at an 11.7 kilometers secondary range if I'm not mistaken. I currently do not have it set up like that, but I will later probably make a video where I preview that. Right now I'm mainly concerned about the guns. So yeah, let's see how this ship and particularly the guns behave in battle. So this battle is a replay of a battle I played in the Shikishima. The reason I'm using a replay for this review is essentially that I'd like to show more or less what the ship is good at, as well as some of the struggles that it may encounter, and it's not always as easy to do that with every ship. Sometimes it's really nice to use live replays, live gameplay for reviews, but in the case of battleships, using a replay is a bit more legitimate, I think. So right here we can simply take a first shot of the battle, and of course this Kurfürst is 26 kilometers away, so nose in might be a bit difficult to hit, but we can see that our shells actually land fairly well there. And if we look here, we hit 4 shells, 2 penetrations and 1 over penetration, scoring a massive 15,000 damage. That's essentially 1 Yamato citadel right there on just a very first shot of the battle. Now of course you won't always be doing opening salvos like that, but it's still quite cool. And we had a bit of luck with how the shells landed there. I'm just positioning myself on the flank here a bit, since with a Yamato or Shikishima they're essentially the same in that matter, I think. You really don't want to be facing too much pressure. We can see here again just 2 hits, but scoring 8,000 damage on the Izuma. And we'd much rather be shooting on the side of the enemy ships a bit, try and flank them. Now here we shoot at the Izumo, but unfortunately this salvo entirely missed, even though this Izumo was actually a lot closer. Trying to swing my turrets into place for the Izumo Ibuki, but well, I'm late, can't get the shot off. One thing is, the Ibuki actually manages to set us on fire twice, which shows us that the Shikishima is indeed a fairly close relative to the Yamato. They burn really well. I decide to shoot some shells in the direction of the enemy aircraft carrier. Do manage to get 1 penetration. I'd actually hoped to hurt him a bit more, but it's still 6,000 damage, so pretty nice. And we're on fire again, twice. We can now have a repair. And even though we only overpenetrate the Goliath here, which is really a shame, we still deal nearly 6,000 damage to him. So it's relatively okay. And of course we can try and deliver another salvo to him. With the Goliath being at roughly 20,000 damage, he now disappears. And we get a citadel hit to him, dealing nearly 20,000 damage at once. And this is what the Shikishima is all about. 20,000 damage in one single hit. And so far we've hit 12 shells and we're up to 55k damage. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. I would like to see this go so cool first, and yeah, he's spotted, so that's pretty cool. Decide to slow down a bit to try and get another shot off on the Große Kurfürst, because if he decides to show broadside to me, I should be able to punish him fairly well here. And there we go, pretty nice broadside there. Not entirely sure where he's gonna go, but now it seems as though I will be having a couple of people in front of me. And again, even though we only score 2 penetrating hits and 3 overpens, it's still 11,000 damage. So, and normally that should be more, but one of the penetrations didn't actually cause any damage. But yeah, the Shikishima is clearly a king of dealing alpha damage. And if you like dishing out these massive blows of damage, then this ship is interesting. Now, the Izumo here is angled away quite a bit, and even though my shells do have fairly decent penetration, it's kind of hard to actually hit him there, even though it's such a massive target. So I would much rather have that one of the cruisers shows up, or well, maybe the Große Kurfürst. The Große Kurfürst is generally an easy target to hit. Enemy Hakuyo decides to come in with aircraft. Fortunately though, our anti-air is pretty decent. Even though he will probably get some torpedoes in the water, I'm not too concerned about it. Get some more shots on the Goliath. Now the Goliath should have been practically dead when we last hit him, but we can see here he's healed up to half his HP again due to this British super heal, and that's pretty darn annoying, of course, because I would much rather have had that he was not around here now. Let's try and hit this Ibuki straight through the nose perhaps. We managed to land one single hit on the Ibuki for 20,000 damage again. And now you can clearly see that I'm in quite a gnarly situation here, being shot at from all sides. And yeah, I tried to hit the enemy Worcester, but it's quite a nimble target. I'm being set on fire. The Hakuyo is going in with bombers. But I decided, okay, there's one thing I can do. I can try to hit the Izumo once more. So I turn in my ship, start aiming for the Izumo, try to hit that juicy citadel. And will we take another hit? Well, that's one over penetration and another citadel. And of course, scoring one citadel in this ship at the end of your battle, because obviously I'm going to die here, simply means another 20,000 damage. Now obviously I did push a bit too hard here, and this did not have too much chance, and clearly, yeah, I would simply be outnumbered here. But I had a pretty nice game, damaging the Kufus pretty badly, dealing this one citadel to the Ibuki, and even though the Goliath has healed back up quite a lot, we dealt some serious damage to him. And then this last shot on the Izumo, yeah, that just makes for a very good battle. Of course, you can really see how this ship sometimes struggle to even hit a target, but then if you do hit, even one single penetration can cause so much damage that if you do hit, you will be having very nice battles. You just gotta get yourself into these positions and find yourself these targets that you can reliably hit. So shooting at the Wooster, which is fairly nimble, might not be the best idea, but instead shooting at this Goofus, which you always know you will be hitting. If you can make sure that you'll have targets like that, then I think you will be having very good battles. And of course, especially if you like the playstyle of the Yamato. The ship plays fairly similar to the Yamato. Of course, the guns are different from the Yamato, although I think they should be used in a fairly similar way. I would say, however, that if you do not like the Yamato, you should probably not go with this ship. And it might be wise, seeing the amount of steel involved, to actually get the Yamato first, before you see if you want to get this ship. Because I honestly think if you like the Yamato, then you will like this ship. But trying out the Yamato first might be a good idea. Obviously, we will be winning this battle, so I'm gonna fast forward and show you the results of this battle. So yeah, if we look at the end result of the battle, we didn't hit that many shells, but of course since we're in the Shikishima, you really don't have to. What we can see, however, is we scored quite a few over penetrations, even a couple of ricochets, and well, 13 penetrations. But luckily this is more than enough to really dish out a really nice amount of damage. And of course the 3 citadels, especially since they were all on high hit point targets, helped a lot in that. If we look at the team score, we actually end up first here, simply through the raw damage output. Maybe a bit through which targets we hit, maybe a bit on tanking, but I think mainly simply due to the amount of damage that we shot. Now, for the amount of shells that we hit, 34 shell hits, 140,000 damage is really quite a lot. That's over 4,000 damage per shell, and for a battleship that is very high indeed. Now that is of course to be expected with the 510mm guns that the Shikishima has. It is also what you would want this ship to behave like. But it's very nice indeed to find that it actually does behave like that. If we look at the amount of shells that we hit on various targets, then we do find yeah, really nice values there. On the Corvus, that really nice salvo in the start of the game, for instance. We also see that we had a lot of anti-air damage. Anti-air on this Shikishima definitely did not let us down, even though we did get overwhelmed a bit in the end. And perhaps one of the most interesting things is here the enemy Ibuki. I hit him with one single shell. But well, if it's a citadel in the Shikishima, then one shell can be plenty to really ruin someone's day. 20,000 damage, or well, 19,400 damage. And most of that will not be repaired since it's citadel damage. So yeah, really devastating hit there, even if it's just the one hit. And of course it would have been nice if we would have scored some more damage on the Izumo, on the Hakuyu for instance, especially since the shot that I took on the Hakuyu wasn't all that bad on the Wooster, but well, you can't always be lucky. All in all, I really think the Shikishima in battles like this, where sometimes you got these salvos landing really nicely, like in the start on the Große like a single citadel on that Ibuki, then it's just a really amazing ship for anyone who likes the Japanese battleships, in particular the Yamato, of course. It is not the easiest battleship to play, and it can be frustrating, because missing entire salvos is nothing new, for what I've found. Of course the reload is not that long, but still when you miss an entire salvo, it is kind of painful. When you get at least one penetration, since that's already 6,000 damage, then that's really quite nice. But missing entire salvos can be a pain, really. So I think it's a really cool ship. It's got that special thing to it. The gun sound is amazing, which I really like. And it's definitely something else than the Yamato. But it is very similar to the Yamato. So if you do like the Yamato, then it might be something for you. If you genuinely dislike the Yamato, then I think this might not be the ship for you. Yeah, and of course you do need to have the steel for it. It's a pretty heavy expense, and I can also fully understand if you would want to rather spend it on a Stalingrad, Burgon, or Sommers. So it's all up to you. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, and if you actually got it. And of course I will later upload a video on the Shikishima with secondary build more. I hope you enjoyed, and see you all around.